Hey guys, buckle up for another brand new episode of Below the Iceberg, the one and only podcast where we talk to real life 2 Comma Club winners. Whether you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a wannabe entrepreneur, or you've been in business for a while, you're sure to pick up some tidbits of actionable advice from these $1 million entrepreneurs. Now, if you're new around here and you don't know what a 2 Comma Club winner is, it's where they've built one funnel inside the ClickFunnels software and sold $1 million through just that one funnel, which is amazing. Now, in today's episode, I'm super excited to be talking to Depesh and Shalina, who are both originally from the UK. Now, Depesh went from working at Ann Summers and Tesco's to starting out in affiliate marketing, and then they both helped scale a $1 million company. And this is when they decided it was time to start their own agency, and they have now won two Comma Club awards. So let's dive in and find out how it all started and what funnels helped them achieve the coveted 2 Comma Club award. Welcome to Below the Iceberg, Depesh and Shalina.
Thank you.
Hi.
Awesome to have you here. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to chat with me today. It's awesome.
For sure. It was good to bump into you whilst we were grabbing a coffee at Funnel Hacking Live as well.
And I've done this just for you.
Awesome. I've got my ClickFunnels 2 one on.
There you go.
Oh, Depesh, you've ruined it. Thanks.
I got my ClickFunnels pants on, but I'm not going to show you that.
Thank goodness.
Okay, so is it two Comma Clubs you have? Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. That's amazing. So what I like to do with my guests is go check out their social media profiles and see what their stats say, because it gives our listeners a good idea of what's achievable with small and large followings.
Totally.
So this is what I found out. This was all under your name, Depesh. I couldn't find anything. It was all based on your brand.
I'm definitely the public face of the business, and Shalina's more
the
like
magic behind the scenes.
There you
go. Right. Okay. So your Facebook profile, I've got down. You've got 9.8 thousand followers for your personal Facebook profile. You've got a Facebook group with 22.2 thousand followers.
Right.
Instagram, you've got 6,593 followers. Twitter, 2,214.
I have no idea, but maybe.
That's funny because when I tell people their stats, they're like, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
That sounds about right.
TikTok, I found you on TikTok. 127 followers on TikTok.
You're dabbling, yeah.
And YouTube, 5.99k subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I miss anything?
LinkedIn, I think I've got, I don't know, whatever the 10,000 connections there. And I think my Facebook page, there's maybe 10 or 12,000 there as well.
All right. Okay, cool. So do you want to tell our listeners exactly what it is that you do?
So exactly what we do is quite broad, but there are a few different things.
Okay.
So the thing that got us the awards, first of all, were firstly through our ads agency, SM Commerce. And the second award was through our ads training program, the BPM method. So over the last 5 years, we've gone all in on Facebook ads. So we did start an agency, then we started a training business, and now we do coaching, consulting. We now have a paid mastermind as well to train media buyers up. So we've kind of gone deep into that world. And when we started off, it was, we're good at running ads, let's run it for clients. But it was like, how do we reach more and more people? And that's where the community came, and the training and doing events and masterminds and things like that. So that's kind of broadly where we fall into right now.
All right. Okay. So with your Facebook group, when did you start that?
That started in early 2018. And it was started because I was sharing value in other people's Facebook groups. It wasn't for lead gen. I wasn't really thinking about it in that respect. I was in the ClickFunnels group, different Facebook ads group. I was learning from people. And when I saw an opportunity to help, I'd help out in the comments. And then I was then thinking, right, how can I share something of value? So I was speaking to a mentor at the time, and he said, do you have any good case studies? And I said, yeah, there's this one where we scaled this e-commerce business from 800K to 26.5 million in 18 months. And he goes, wow, that's amazing. I was like, yeah, it was good fun. But, when you're in that kind of process, and I'm an introvert, so I don't really like to share. I didn't really like to share before I grew a brand. So I was like, yeah, but there's other people that have done bigger numbers. You know how it is. Like, no matter what level you're at, you're always looking at someone higher and saying, yeah, but they do so much better. And he's saying, like, he goes, I've never heard anyone do that before. So I shared that in the ClickFunnels group, in a few other groups, and it just blew up. Like, if you go back to, I think, late 2017, you can go and look at that post in ClickFunnels, and then people started to message me and say, I want to learn from you, or where can I do this, and asking me questions and stuff. And I couldn't keep up. There's too many messages. And then someone said, just put them into a Facebook group. And that's what I did. And that's kind of where it grew from.
Ah, right. I see. Okay. So when did you actually hit the first 2 Comma Club? When did you first do the $1 million?
Both of them were through funnels we set up in 2020. So they were 2020 earners.
All right. Okay. And were you looking, was the goal to get a 2 Comma Club award?
I think that's an interesting one as well.
It's a yes and a no. So we actually went to ClickFunnels. I think, was that in 19? It was in
Nashville, 19.
Yeah, and we were really inspired. We managed to both go together. We were like, oh my God. And this is a common story, apparently. That's it. I'm going to see myself up there getting one myself. And me and Depesh were quite competitive. So I was like, no, I'll be going up there. So we had this thing going on. So that was part of the drive.
Right.
I think we missed it when it actually came because we were so busy doing everything else and enjoying it. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we've got an award.
Yeah, so early 2021, I think maybe March time, we were looking at some of our analytics and kind of, I wanted to understand how long it's taking someone from becoming a lead to becoming a client, and looking at one of our analytics tools. And when we looked at a few funnels, we're like, oh, that's hit 7 figures. Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what else has hit 7 figures. Because the thing is, we work on monthly targets. We very rarely look at yearly. Right. Yes, we have our accounts that are submitted and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't always look at the detail. And we didn't look at it by funnel. Because the thing is, with ClickFunnels, you have to hit 7 figures in one funnel. So we knew we'd already hit multiple 7 figures and in the business before we even talked about getting a ClickFunnels award. But we never looked at it at a single funnel. And in 2021, we realized 2 of the funnels we set up had already hit 7 figures through ClickFunnels. And it was like, oh, that's cool. I think we can get an award. So we submitted it and we got it.
So you didn't have a celebration when you realized you'd hit the 2 Comma Club then?
Not quite. I think it was a bit muted because I was also stuck in Canada at the time. Because I was working between the UK and Canada, and Shalina was in the UK, so I was like,
and it was COVID. I think it was COVID times.
That's right, yeah.
I just had a baby as well, and Depesh was working abroad, so it was like a quiet party alone in my head. I had all bangers and everything going woo while I was looking after my kids.
That's it. And the thing is, they shipped it to Canada where I was staying at the time, so Shalina didn't actually get to see it for another 6 months. I think.
Yeah, but you did wave it in my face and said, "Ha, you can't touch."
That's it. Even if it's got your
Did you
name
do the unboxing video?
I didn't. No, I didn't do it. I did submit a video. So one of the things they ask you to do is to submit like a winner's video to show the transformation and what impact it's made in a business. So I did submit that, and that sometimes they pick out those to use for publicity, which I thought was fine. But honestly, I didn't have time to do the whole unboxing thing.
All right, okay. So from the 2, there were 2 different funnels. What funnels were they? What type of funnel were they?
So for the agency, it was a call booking funnel. And it's the first time we used a proper call booking funnel. Prior to that, it was here's an application form, submit it, we'd review it and things like that. Okay. But this time we set up landing pages that actually went through call booking, and we closed on the phone. And that was, there's nothing magical about it. It was just a different process. We actually hired a closer. So prior to that, myself, maybe Shalina or an account manager would just be taking the calls. We didn't really take it seriously because we did so much brand work ahead of that. We had case studies and things, and people were desperate to work with our agency. So closing wasn't that difficult. Right. But for the first time, we said, right, how do we send more leads in, do it in a conscious way, and get a closer in place? And that worked for us. So that was the first. What
was the hook that you got them to the page in the first place? What were
so the biggest one for us was publishing a case study and pushing that out as a lead magnet. And the case study was how we took an e-commerce business, I think they were doing 2-3 million a year at that point, to close to 16 million, and we did that in about 5 or 6 months. So it's a huge case study. Well, we pushed that out in 2020. And drove a lot of leads and things like that. And we formatted that lead magnet in a very specific way. that if our ideal prospect read it, they'd be blown away and they'd want to contact us. So that definitely worked. And we ended up getting so many leads come through, we couldn't take on all the business, and we didn't want to grow our agency faster than we needed to. So it absolutely crushed it, and it was great. And that's really what drove that, first of all.
Right, okay. So did people have to opt in? Sorry, did they have to opt in to get the lead magnet?
That's right.
Yeah.
And what we actually did is we had a landing page where I would show teasers of what's inside, but then it's like, if you want the full guide, then give us your email address.
Right.
And then we had a whole email follow-up sequence off the back of that as well.
And then they booked the call, and then you took the call, and then sold them on the call.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, and what was the other funnel?
That was for our training, the BPM method. So this was a course that we were selling. It ranged from like $1,000 to $3,000. So that was through a webinar, and then getting them to buy through a webinar. And the majority of that actually came through live webinars as opposed to evergreen. But yeah, that was the main funnel.
Okay, and who was doing the webinar?
Me, but I have spoken to Shalina many times that she's got a much better webinar personality than I do. So that's something we'll explore in
It's
future.
not just a webinar personality, is it, Depesh?
So did you set that evergreen then, or did you keep it as live?
We did keep it, we did turn it evergreen. But at that point, because I'm one of those shiny object people, so one of the things I struggled with is I take a funnel to 6 figures and I'm like, oh, this seems good, and then launch another funnel. So we had multiple funnels doing 6 figures. And I don't think we had properly consciously pushed and said, right, let's get this to as far as it can go. And that's something I changed a lot over the last 2 years. So I think it was, for that funnel in particular, we did, we'd do a launch, we'd do 50K, 100K on a live webinar, and that'd be great. And then we'd evergreen it, but not give it the attention it needed. So it probably took longer to hit 7 figures than it should have. And then even then, we then ended up just launching other funnels and stuff. So over time, we've now narrowed it down, and we're a lot more conscious about where we're focusing our ad spend, our time, our effort. And a lot of the work that Russell's sharing in funnel hacking, in Inner Circle and things like that, helps us to focus a lot better as well, I think.
Yeah, I think it gives us clarity on where we need to put our attention.
Absolutely.
All right, okay. So
I think sometimes we're just caught up with everything. It's really hard to see the clarity because you're sucked up into so many things. When you just take a step back and hear it from somebody else that has done it, it just helps you to get back on track.
So with the webinar, did you follow Russell's perfect webinar?
We did, yeah. I might not have perfected the webinar, but I followed the script and stuff. So, part of it is, and for kind of listeners, it's easy to take the templates and the structures and stuff like that, and you'll have the path, but it takes a lot of practice to get into the flow of delivering it in the right way. So I met with a lady a few weeks ago, and she's been doing live events for 24 months. So every single month she'll do one big live event. She spends 3 weeks trafficking it, getting leads, and then just running that event. She's now averaging $1.6 million per live event she does. Wow. And that's come through 24 months of just doing the same thing. Russell talks about it, like hundreds and hundreds of times he'll run the live to perfect it. I haven't quite done it, because I get so distracted in so many other things. And I think that's the thing. If you want to get really, really good at delivering these webinars, you have to do the work. You have to do 50 lives, 100 lives, and you'll tweak one thing and then retest it and keep going like that. I didn't do that. And I think our lives could have been so much better, and our evergreens could have been so much better as well.
All right. Okay. So at the end of the webinar, where were you sending people? Was it a sales page, checkout, or was it book a call?
Checkout page. Yeah.
Just a checkout page.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So were you running, well, obviously you're running your Facebook ads to these offers. Were you doing any organic as well, or was it just all ads?
So it may surprise some people because I am deep in the world of Facebook ads, and we've driven so much revenue for ourselves and clients, but actually most of that comes through organic. So,
oh, did it?
With the brand that I developed over 3-4 years, and by the way, if you spoke to me 6-7 years ago and said you're going to have a personal brand, you'll speak on stage and stuff like that, the introverted me would have said no way, like that's Shalina, mine. But over time, my brand has brought people in. So I do believe people will attract their own tribes. So if you're an extrovert and you talk about Ferraris and Lambos and holidays, you'll attract that tribe. I'm not that kind of person. I've attracted a different kind of tribe. And a lot of those people have joined my group and my email list. And actually organic does really, really well for us. So for example, we might run some lead gen ads and grow people into our email list and our group. But then when we run a webinar, we just drop that into our organic channels, and that gets, let's say 250 or 500 or 1,000 people registered. And then by that point, they know me, like me, and trust me. So it's kind of easier to sell in than going straight cold.
Right. Okay. So your webinar, so your Facebook group was feeding your webinars then, was that?
I'd say the Facebook group was feeding the whole know, like, and trust, because I drop content in there that gets people to like the material I put out, see that I'm genuine and passionate about what I do, so they want to learn more. They want to kind of latch on to new things that I'm doing. But I'd say the email list is really where the money is, because that's the point where you then get that message out there. The Facebook group will do like, hey, I'm doing this webinar and this is what I'm going to share. This is what you're going to get. Comment this below to get that kind of thing. It worked really well until 2022. That seems to have been negatively impacted in Facebook groups. It doesn't seem to have the same impact it had. But previously, we'd end up getting like 500 comments, and then a virtual assistant would go in and one by one share the link and things like that.
All right. Okay. So do you think, because Facebook's not showing your posts anymore to people who are in
not as well as it used to be in groups, yeah.
All right. Okay, now let's do a little rewind, and we're going to take you back to your childhoods. Your face.
I'm still in it, mate.
So what did your childhood look like? Where did you grow up?
You can go first.
So I grew up in Hertfordshire, just outside of North London.
All right, okay. My family's from there.
Oh, cool. So it was a really, really quiet town. I think I was probably one of two brown people in the town, so we were kind of we stood out like sore thumbs. But it was a very traditional English town as well. So funnily enough, I didn't all my friends were English. I didn't actually have any brown friends until I went to university. But it was a kind of typical kind of British town. I think growing up, I was lucky enough to fall in a circle of friends that loved football as much as I did, and that's probably my prevailing childhood memory. Is just like whether we were at school and playing football in the breaks, or come home and we go straight and play football in the park. That's the thing that I was the most passionate about. If it was raining, then we'd stay indoors and maybe play computer games and things like that. But that was kind of my big
computer games.
Yeah, absolutely. By 10,
Didn't even
11.
know they invented.
What computer did you have then?
So the first one was, what was it called? Sega Master System, I think.
Yeah,
really, really early.
I remember that.
Thing. And like I used to love Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff like that. So yeah.
Showing your age now.
Absolutely. I know people start searching Wikipedia. When was that made?
So what about you, Shalina?
So I was actually brought up in Islington.
All right.
It was a very cosmopolitan area, and I lived. I think it was quite. I don't know what the word is. You had to be quite assertive. We were given a lot of responsibility and stuff, but at the same time, we were really taught to look after ourselves and make sure that you're okay. And I think having such a dynamic group of people in the area really helped. So I was able to understand different cultures and people quite quickly as I was growing up. In terms of and the thing is, like, we weren't that well off at that time, so we were all in like council properties and stuff, so all my friends would be in the same position. Right. So it was almost like we were all on the same level. There wasn't kind of like classes and stuff. We were all kind of playing the same right. kind of thing. In terms of playing, well, we didn't have computer games in my house because we were really poor, Depesh. So we just had like maybe like one or two little dollies or something, and I wasn't a dolly person. But I do remember, because recently I was speaking to my cousin that I grew up with, and I go, "Oh, do you remember when I used to come around your house and we used to play the Commodore?" And the thing is, this game was so tedious. You had to rewind the tape and let it play for 1 hour before you could actually play the game. And the thing is, if it blipped once, you had to rewind it. And I was like, do you remember how frustrating it was? And all I wanted to play was Paperboy, you know, just throwing papers through people's houses. So that was kind of our I think our growing up was a bit more mischievous than Depesh's.
So what did your parents do for work?
So my dad was a factory worker. My mum kind of did a bit of factory work. She also did some teaching assistant and things like that. So by no means did we have a lot of money, but we went to things called a thing called car boot sales. So I think UK folk will know what that is if you're not from the UK. Basically,
a garage sale.
It's not even a garage sale. It's literally a big field, and 50 cars turn up, and they empty their cars onto the floor in the field. And then you go and find bargains, and that's how we bought our computer system. It's how we got all our toys and actually a lot of our clothes as well. So hand-me-downs, second-hands, and stuff like that. So yeah, and to be honest, you know, I often think back. You know, some people say, when did you start, you know, your entrepreneurial journey and stuff like that? I was car washing with my friend at 10, 11 years old, and we were earning £1 each. And at the end of the day, I was doing it because I wanted to buy things that my parents couldn't afford. For me, it was a pair of trainers that everyone had at school. But in some ways, that was my first entrepreneurial push. We were going door to door and selling our services. We were getting clients and retaining clients. People that say, hey, come back next Saturday at 12 p.m. And some people were so cool, they would teach us how to actually wash properly. Because bear in mind, we just had a bucket and a sponge. And then one lady's like, use this cloth. And once you finish washing it, dry it with it. And this is how you do it. So what is this cloth? Oh, it's a chamois leather. Really? Okay, we used it. And she goes, you've done a really good job. Keep the leather. And now we're like, wow, now our service levels have gone up and we're charging £1.50 instead of £1 and stuff like that. So it's funny thinking back, but I think it was a great experience.
And what did your parents do, Shalina?
My dad told me off a lot. I think that was his main job. But he actually worked for, I think, like, he was more of a civil worker. So he worked for the water board. He worked for like local councils and stuff. And he predominantly worked for the government. So he was a civil servant.
Okay. Did you have a dream? Did you have a dream of what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I think for me, first of all, because I love football, I wanted to become a footballer, but that kind of didn't happen, or I didn't think that was realistic. Then the other thing was I love computer games. So I just wanted to do something with computers.
I liked computing too. So for that 8 years old, I remember my dad used to use BASIC and make me little maths games, and I was allowed 10 minutes, and that was my excitement. And then I used to do really fast typing. Like, even at school, everyone wanted me to do all the typing because my dad got me this lobster game that would eat the words, so you had to type really fast.
All right.
And that kind of gave me a passion for computers, not so much the Commodore, because that was really trying my patience. But I continued that, and then I think that got me into the computer science degree. Which actually paid off, because I don't actually like computer science and all the binary stuff so much, but I did meet my husband, so...
I was going to say, what happened next? Did you go to college, university, or...?
So we both ended up at University of Hertfordshire, which was where we actually met.
All right, okay. Were you on the same course?
Oh, yeah.
Only for the last year, but yeah, Shalina was a year down. Was it a year or two or something?
I was not a year down. I just didn't have a gap year like some people.
Yeah.
But I actually met him when I first, even though we weren't in the same year as such, and we eventually met in the same year towards the end. I just met him in like Freshers Week. And
all right, okay. So what happened then after uni?
We got married. It was a year after uni, I think.
Yeah, is that where you? He says I forced him to marry him under duress. So I think we pretty much got married as soon as we graduated.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and then he was already working, and then he managed to get me in.
I hired her in my team. So my first job out of uni was where I spent my placement year, so the kind of gap year between. And they invited me back after I graduated. So I was working in their kind of content marketing team, early 2000s, and we needed a content editor. And at the time, I said to my boss, look, you know, my wife knows computing and stuff, and if you're interested, we can interview her. And he said, look, I trust you, but any kind of marital problems you bring to the office, then I'm going to have to make some decisions. And I said, look, I think it'll be fine. We got on really well and stuff like that. Honestly, it was so hard.
It was like, right, stop the car here. I'll walk the rest of the way, Depesh. I've had enough of you.
Because the thing is, like, you'd have an argument, let's say in the morning or the evening and stuff like that, and then you have to go to the office and act cool and act professional and stuff like that, and then it was really hard to sometimes just balance.
And then
all that.
I remember going home and him telling me something. I was like, "You're not my manager now. I'm in charge here." And it was really like, we can look back at it and laugh, but at the time it was quite stressful.
But the thing is, when we, if you fast forward to 2017 and we start the agency and we're working together as co-founders and stuff like that, because of that experience, it made it easier. Had we started the business in 2017 as a couple and as a business partnership, we'd have gone through all those teething pains that we went through 15 years prior or whatever.
And here's an interesting thing, because we actually ended up later on in life working in the same place a few times, and we got so good at it. I remember I think it must have been about 2016, 2017. I was working somewhere. Depesh had come in later, and I was making lunch, and we were on the same team, and I made him lunch as well, because obviously same house, same lunch. And somebody came up to my team and goes, "Oh, you're butt licking the boss, are you?" And I was like, "No, he's my husband." He goes, "What?" He hadn't clocked on for a year that I was actually married to Depesh, even though we were on the same team, because we were just so like professional.
And he thought there was some kind of office relationship going on between us. It was so funny.
So how long did that first company, what was that first company doing? What was the company?
They were doing banking software. So we were part of the internet banking division.
Oh, right. Okay. So how long did you stay together in that company?
Until they fired us.
I think it was about 12 months. And then they decided to move our function, which was a bigger department, to India.
Oh,
so
right.
then we were made redundant from that.
Oh, right. Okay. So you were both made redundant at the same time?
Yeah, and that was a huge risk, because we just got our own property, mortgage, bills, and all that kind of stuff. So literally at the end of the month, and we would budget everything, and everything was line itemized and stuff like that. We didn't have any spare money. Like, all the income we were bringing in was for the mortgage, the bills, and things like that. So to lose both incomes at the same time, that was a hard lesson. Now, fortunately, they found me another role in the company, but they couldn't for Shalina. So at least my income continued. But then after 6 months there, I wasn't happy in the role. It just wasn't as good as the previous one. So then I started looking, and this was about 2004, 2005 time, and a job came up for an internet project manager at a hotel company. I was like, "Oh, that looks interesting." Went and applied, and they needed someone to manage their websites, their analytics, and their landing pages. I was like, "This sounds pretty cool." That changed my whole life, because now I got into the world of proper internet marketing, and it was a fortunate step, because that I was so consumed by how exciting the world of internet marketing was, and learning SEO and paid search and affiliate marketing and stuff. And that was, I found my thing. Like, this was the role I really, really wanted to do. Whereas previously it was like team management, content management, project management. It was okay. It was just stuff. But this was now really exciting.
So that was quite early then, wasn't it? 2004, did you say?
2005.
Yeah, so that's still quite early in the
absolutely
world, wasn't it? So
and the thing is that some of the work I was doing is what people would call conversion rate optimization now, but that term never existed. So I was looking at analytics. We were running split tests. We were looking at user groups and user feedback and stuff like that. We were doing things that were really ahead of the time at the time. But it was just, we were learning as we went. There was no website to go to or training calls or anything like that.
So that's what I was going to say. So was there somebody else with you, or were you just learning that on your own as you were
there's
going?
a guy called Neil Mason who my boss hired in. Over time, he has become a really good friend, but he became a mentor to me. So he was like showing me how analytics works. Now, bear in mind, in 2005, it wasn't like it is right now, where you could go to a website, look at analytics. We had to download server files and upload them into an external tool to actually get data and stuff. So he'd show me how all that would work. He showed me the power of user groups, of mapping user journeys and things like that. So I owe him a lot through his mentoring and teaching and stuff like that. And then just developing the network through that. So getting to know other people that are, in a similar field, going to events. I went to lots of events around website management, analytics, and things like that, and just absorbing in so much as well.
So how long did you stay there for?
4.5 years. So unfortunately, again, I was made redundant. This time, there is a recurring pattern, but this time it was the economy in the UK had sunk, 2007, 2008. So 2009, they wiped out half of the hotel company's marketing team. In fact, the whole business took a big hit. but
Right.
half the marketing team were let go. And because at that point I was quite senior and higher salary, I took the hit there as well. Now, that was a really hard time because we just had our second baby. We'd actually moved house to a more expensive house, more expensive area. And my salary was, covering it all, and that was fine. And I think Shalina was doing a few bits as well. But then I lost the job. My first thing was, I'm just going to start applying. It'll be fine. I've got 4.5 years experience at this hotel company, e-commerce, paid search, all that kind of stuff. Like, is valuable experience. I couldn't get a job. And days became weeks, weeks became months. I was not able to get a job. And I think where I hit rock bottom was queuing up in the job center, because at that point you had to go and apply to have your national insurance saving, like payments put in and stuff like that. And I was behind a drunk guy you could smell all the alcohol. Behind me, there's a single mom and a baby was crying and stuff. And I thought, this is my level. Like, this is my level now. I'm actually at the job center. I can't get a job. I'm applying to get £100 a week check and something like that. And that really hurt. And that took me to kind of going inwards and getting depressed and stuff like that, to the extent I didn't want to apply for a job. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I wasn't helping Shalina, so she's managing 2 kids plus a husband that's not really useful right now. But without that, I wouldn't have gone into affiliate marketing, because at that point I needed to make money. That opened up a whole new opportunity. And then, like, a few years later, we created 7-figure revenue through that affiliate business.
So how did you come up with the affiliate marketing then? How did you know to do that?
So that was through the hotel company. So a few years prior, one of the marketing managers had a great idea of, what if we brought our top affiliates in, got them to work with me in a day so that I could optimize their websites and their analytics so they made more money, and therefore we made more money. So I thought it was a genius idea. I got speaking to these affiliates, and like, we'd have an hour-and-a-half session per affiliate. Like 6 or 7 came to the office. So it was almost like me holding an office hours. As I got speaking to these guys, I was like, because I could see their numbers based on what they're bringing in for us. And I was like, you do 20K a month commission from us. And I was like, it's amazing, like, what you're doing. And I could see what they were doing. It's very simple. Some of it was organic search, some of it was paid search into a landing page and then driving traffic to us, and would give them commissions. And I was like, you've got us running. How many other clients like this do you have? And some people were saying like 10, some people say 50. I was like, what? So you make £200,000 a month just through affiliate marketing? And I was like, how many years would it take me to hit that in my salary? I was like, I couldn't get my head around it. Like, here I am, I'm optimizing your affiliate site, and I'm doing it for my business, and my business, well, not my business, the company I'm working for, who are making hundreds of millions a year. And here's me on like a 35K a year salary. The numbers just didn't add up. And I was just getting so stressed out. Like, how is this even happening? Like, I'm getting this salary for them doing this job, and they're making as much in a month that I might make in half a year, kind of thing. So it was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't know how to get started with this affiliate marketing. So that 2009 experience became the nudge. And it was actually Shalina that reminded me and said, why don't you use your spare time now, because you're not doing anything, to have a look at affiliate marketing? And that's what I did.
Because he was kind of thinking about it before he actually got to being made redundant. He was talking about it a lot at home. He was thinking about it, and he had some knowledge and stuff. So in his spare time and stuff, because Depesh is constantly trying to learn and stuff, he was dabbling at stuff at home. So I said, okay, you can't find the job right now. Why don't you just take this time where you're on garden leave or whatever it is, and just see what you can do? Yeah. And he did start to obviously, because he knew the holiday leisure centre industry, he focused on that. And then obviously I had the baby. Then what he did was he set it up and then said, right, I found a job now. And I was like, and he goes, but I can teach you how to do this. So we basically were working where he was doing a full-time job. I had this baby, and in between that, I would be helping him get content in, help him do like the offers and stuff like that. And then I found a process of scheduling. So then he would come back home and he'd finish off some other bits and pieces. So we were essentially working full-time, both of us, even though I had 2 children.
Right. Okay. So what offers, didn't we? What offers were you doing then? What was it? How did you, was it blogs that you were sending people to and things like that, or what was it?
We grew it quite a bit. So first we were initially just going out there and asking affiliates, right, do you want to work with us? And we go through platforms and add them in, and they'd agree or not agree. And then we would check out what they were actually offering. And then I would like rewrite them. I do research into the place. I would kind of use key selling points for each. I used to spend a lot of time on each individual like client finding stuff. And I even remember I was winning prizes. They were inviting me to concerts. They're like, do you want to take that live? You've done so amazing. And I was like,
Absolutely. And it was a surreal thing because we're bedroom affiliates and we're like becoming top affiliates for some of these UK companies, like holiday companies.
And I remember one affiliate just hated us too.
Yeah, because we were, so here's the thing, our traffic was 100% SEO. So through working with a hotel company, I became really good at SEO. So I was like, that's got to be the thing. It took me 6 months to make our first commission, by the way, and we had to really, really try hard. But when it first happened, then you get that motivation to continue. Now, one of these merchants we were working with, their SEO was really, really bad. So for us to rank for their keywords was very easy, and they hated us for it because
we were making more money than they were.
We would make like 10, 15K in commission from these guys, and they're like, and they'd keep asking us like, what are you doing, how are you making it? And said, look, you know, we have traffic that comes in, but they knew that we were ranking for some of their brand terms as well. It wasn't illegal, it was SEO, and we were up there in second space under the brand. But because our offers and our messaging and our SEO was so much better than theirs, they would click through our site, we'd get the cookie, and then we'd get the commission back as well.
Cool. That's super awesome. So how long, so what, you got another job at the side. What was that job?
That job was actually a company called Ann Summers. I don't know if you've heard of them. Yes.
I used to work for Ann Summers.
Oh, amazing. That's crazy. So I was running their marketing at head office, and that was an experience for sure. That was good fun.
So what were you doing for Ann Summers?
So I was managing their e-commerce at the time.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so that was selling their products online, essentially.
I've never seen anyone so keen to go to work.
I bet.
The funniest thing is I brought an SEO agency in because we wanted to grow our SEO at Ann Summers, and I'd been there like 3-4 months, so everything was just wallpaper to me. But they were like, that's sitting there right on the desk, and that picture, and this, and they were like, okay, you work in this environment. I'm like, yeah, it's just normal and all that kind of stuff.
Not everyone knows what Ann Summers is, right?
Well, they can search online.
American listeners might not know what Ann Summers is. They'll have to go check it out.
Absolutely.
So how long did you last at Ann Summers?
How long was I there? I think I was there for about a year. Now, one of the challenges was it was in South London, and it took me about 90 minutes to drive there and then 90 minutes back. So, but I took the job because it's the only job offer I had after 3 months of trying to find a job after redundancy. But it took its toll because I'd have to leave at 7 in the morning to get there. So I'd leave in the morning before the kids woke up. I'd get home after the kids had gone to bed. So 5 days a week, I wouldn't see my kids.
Right.
And then I changed jobs and found a job at a company called Tesco, which UK people will obviously know.
Yeah.
Working in their head office, heading up their personalization and their testing division for their websites as well, which is super cool.
All right, awesome. How long did you stay there?
18 months, I think. 18 months. Yeah.
Okay, and when did you start your agency then, and how did that come about?
So the agency, which goes by the name of SM Commerce, the business actually started with the affiliate marketing. So now we made a huge mistake, and I blame the accountant for this. We didn't know anything about corporate and accounting and things like that. So we're making money with this affiliate marketing thing, and then the tax bill comes, and we get charged the tax rate for sole traders, because we had no idea that you needed a company and a limited company and get company tax. So we were taxed as personal earners for all this money. And when that tax bill came, we were in tears. Like, how can so much money be going to the tax person? And then the accountant said, oh, well, you should have set up a limited company, and then therefore you get business tax.
I'm like, so what are you doing?
It's like, what were you doing for 12 months while we're making this money? Like, you could see the money coming in. Why were you not telling us? So yeah, so we created SM Commerce to be that company.
Right. Okay.
And then eventually that became the name of the agency because it was already set up as a UK company.
All right.
So
okay.
I think it was always there, and we were always working on it in some form of marketing, but it became dynamic, and it started to change as the market started to change. So 1 minute was affiliates, then it became it could
consulting,
yeah, and then it can be this. And then I remember at one point I was just consulting and running the company. So it was really weird. And then I think It was, when did we decide
So
to
just
go
in
all
terms of the
in?
affiliate marketing business, in 2012, it tanked because we were 100% reliant on organic traffic. We did no lead gen, so all our traffic went to a lander and then went off to a merchant site.
Right.
Google changed the rules of the game, and I didn't keep up with it. I'd become so confident with being so good at SEO that I wasn't putting the same effort into learning.
Right.
I wasn't thinking in terms of growth and investing in mentors and coaches. I was like, I know everything. I'm going to be fine, and making lots of money and stuff. And I always tell people the best time to invest is when you're making that money, not when you lose it and business starts to tank. And I didn't do that. So we lost all that traffic, all our rankings went, we just couldn't recover it.
Right.
In a way, without that, I wouldn't have ended up in Facebook advertising because I needed other traffic sources. So we lost that income. I then started dabbling more with Facebook, LinkedIn ads, other ads and things like that. Then in 2014, this company reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he saw that I'd worked at Tesco. He's like, we've got this children's book. Could you give us an in into Tesco? I said, look, I worked in the internet team. I don't really know about the product and things like that. He goes, oh, well, we're trying to sell this product online. Do you think you could help us out? I said, well, funny thing, I do have some time right now. Long and short, that's the company that I took from 800K to 26.5 million in 18 months through Facebook ads. And we spent probably about 4 to 6 weeks trying to figure things out. And I spent more time on their website than their ads, because I was like, you're running ads on Facebook, you're spending like 5K a month and you're making like 2-3K back. I said, why don't we just focus on getting your conversion rates up? Let's have a look at your funnel. And so I spent 4 weeks on the CRO side of things. And then guess what? The ads started to work better. So this is literally doing nothing on the ads. And I was like, all right, we're spending 5K, making 5K back. It's still not profitable, but at least we see that things are working. Then I started to tweak other things. And it was like, all right, 5K is bringing 10K, 10K is now bringing 50K, 50K is now bringing 100K. And this started to kind of just mushroom out, and it was phenomenal. And that actually caught Facebook's attention because we were the fastest growing European client that Facebook had ever. Like no one had ever done these kind of numbers before. So myself and Shalina, who are both consulting for this company, we were getting wined and dined by the Facebook team, getting flown to Dublin, to London, eventually getting flown out to Menlo Park to go and speak to the Facebook team about what we were doing. And that was an amazing experience.
So what were you doing that other people weren't doing?
I think what we kind of figured out, and this is one of Shalina's strengths, was on the creative and how to actually communicate to people on Facebook. When I started off with Facebook, I was thinking as a paid search person. So paid search is you find a keyword with intent, write some copy and get them into your landing page as fast as possible. But with Facebook, it was, especially with this children's book, it was more about emotion. It was more about creative and storytelling and experience and things. And when we figured that out, plus some of the technical side of how to actually structure campaigns and optimize and things like that, everything started to just come together.
All right, okay. So,
and I think it's that notion of a picture having more words than an actual written piece. So you only had that split second. If you didn't have that right picture that was giving enough information to gauge their attention, that was the advert gone. Yeah. So we spent a lot of time redoing that, and I think
it made a huge difference.
Yeah, it was
on the scroll stopping.
Thumb stopping, scrolling, yeah, absolutely.
So where did you learn Facebook ads? Did you go and learn, or did you learn as you were going?
Just did it myself. And the thing is, there weren't many resources out there. I think Shalina did take a course, but it was not great.
It was the first course.
And the thing is, the guy was clever. He knew his stuff, but it was so slow and mundane and monotone. And I think Shalina was like, I can't, like, I'm scratching my eyes out here. I can't follow this.
You would just make me doze off. I'd go in all enthusiastic, and then by said lesson 2, I was like, huh? What was that bit?
So we were just kind of learning it on the fly, essentially.
So,
and I think, sorry.
No, you carry on.
I think what happened for me was I was on maternity leave. I think it was my 4th child at this point. That's what Ann Summers did for us. It was our 4th child, and I was back on maternity leave, and Depesh had actually found a better job. So he wasn't really able to help this small business out, and they were like, oh my God, things have suddenly changed here and all the rest of it. What can they do? And it was like, Depesh, you can tell it from there. He basically got me in.
Yeah, like... so like I said, this company reached out. I helped them to grow their ads, but by this point, I found a really decent job, and I was like, I can't continue working with you unless you can afford this salary, which was quite high at that point. And they said, look, we're just a startup, but you've found something amazing for us. You can't leave us in the lurch. And I'm like, I can help you hire, but I don't even know where you find good media buyers and stuff like that. And then it kind of occurred to me, like, hang on a second, Shalina's on maternity leave. She's already done internet marketing with me on the affiliate side. Can't be that difficult for me to teach her Facebook ads. And I went back to the company. I said, look, give me a consulting rate. I will train Shalina. I will manage her. You don't need to pay for her time. Give her 4 weeks. And if it works out, then you can employ her. It did work out, and she became employee number one. So that was pretty cool. And then about 3-4 months later, they reached out to me and said, we've got some external funding. We need you in the team. You need to head up our marketing team. What's it going to take? And then I ended up rejoining them.
All right. Okay, cool. So when did you go out on your own then?
So that was in 2016, 2017. So by that point, we'd scaled this company up from like 4 or 5 people that were just trying to make this brand work, to hiring Shalina, hiring me, to hiring 100 people and doing this global growth thing. To hit these 8-figure revenues, you need a huge team. And we helped to build all that out. But it changed. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy working for a large company, because that's also why I left Tesco. I really enjoyed working for Tesco, but it was corporate, it was red tape, it was slow.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this startup went into that phase of, when we started off in 2014, we were just making stuff happen. It was fast. It was like, let's just do this. Let's test this. Now there's 100 people. It's like, need to get that person's sign off and that person's buy-in. And I enjoy moving fast. So I left that company in 2016. I said, I want to do something else. And at that point, we were like, do we launch our own e-commerce brand, which we launched a few, or do we do something else? And it was a conversation with one of the senior VPs at Facebook, when he said, look, you're really good at Facebook. Why don't you offer Facebook ads as a service? He goes, you can actually serve clients and multiple clients and run an agency. And if you do that, you and Shalina will give you all the support you need.
And I think we also had, and I think he's missed this bit, we had so much recognition. Depesh was like writing articles, people were interviewing him.
In London, at least.
Yeah, Facebook was recognizing us, and people were headhunting us. I mean, I was getting phone calls going, can you work for us? Can we do this? Can we do that?
Oh.
And and Depesh was the same. And I was like, Depesh, we keep going in, we go as a team and hit these companies, and then we grow them, and then we move on. I said, we've now got 4 children. There's a lot on our plate, and it's really hard having you commuting up and down. Let's just
work from home,
throw everything out and just try on our own. And he was like, oh no, the risk. And then I just said, look, we've got this money that we had saved to kind of like renovate our home. I was like, let's not renovate. Let's use that as, if this all goes wrong, we're not going to sink. And that's how the story began. Yeah,
so we literally started with 0 clients. I posted on my LinkedIn, and by that time I built up a good network and said, hey, I've started a new agency. We run Facebook ads if anyone's interested. And then people started to reach out. We made a big mistake of just taking any client and charging ridiculously low fees. And it was like, we want to help as many people as we can. And, we've done it for startups before. What we didn't realize is many of the startups that were paying pennies were also the same that didn't have the resource to actually action many of the things that we wanted them to do. And they're also the ones that want to know to A to Z of exactly what we're doing every single day. They'll be hounding us and texting us and calling. And it's like, this is not right. So we had to reposition and say, right, how do we find better clients? And we did. And we eventually started to charge our worth and grow it from there as well.
How did you find the better ones? What did you do to find better clients?
I think in the end, it was more quality over quantity. That was our biggest thing.
Yeah.
We had learned like the signals that were like, this person's not going to be easy to work with. It would be asking at even at the uptake of taking on that client, there was so many questions, and there was, most of the time it almost felt like we were being challenged onto what decisions we were making. We're like, hold on a minute. You don't go into a doctor's surgery and then start telling the doctor that they don't know what they're doing. And it was getting really exhausting mentally for us. We were like, we need people that just trust us, and we bring them the results. Obviously, if something's wrong, then we're happy to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a good year or so before we really like, do you know what? This is not right. So we just knew our signals. And I don't want to sit there and kind of like say bad things about people, but I think you just start to recognize, and I think you find that in the world anyway, generally.
Yeah.
You like some people and you don't, and that's how we kind of changed our dynamics.
Right.
And then we kind of went through, we didn't want to drop the quality, but we wanted to help as many people as we could without reducing our quality. And I think that's also how we came about the training course.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, we can't serve you as an agency,
but we can empower you to serve yourself.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. I was going to say, how did you start the BPM method?
Yeah, so that actually came about when we started the agency. I was looking for off-the-shelf training courses that I could bring in and train media buyers up on because I didn't have time. At the same time, there wasn't anything in the marketplace that I could find that was good enough for an agency with our niche and kind of our growth and stuff like that. So in the end, I started just writing small training videos, like 10-minute videos, 10-minute videos, showing how to do this, how to do that. And that became our internal training program.
Right.
And that became the genesis of our training that we ended up selling.
All right. Okay. So if somebody applied to work with you and they weren't a good fit, did you offer the course then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we also learned that not every client coming in, not everyone knew exactly what they needed. So it's like going to the doctors and say, I need painkillers because my head's hurting. Maybe your head's hurting because there's an underlying problem. So we started to diagnose that a lot better. So for example, they say, oh, my ads used to work. They're no longer working. We need an agency to solve it and fix it. Can you run our ads? Actually, you need some reconstruction. So we started to expand our offers. So rather than just a kind of one size fits all ads management, we launched a program which will help to rebuild and relaunch your brand or your product using our training. Another program which was just a consulting program. Not everyone needed ads management. And obviously we had the DIY training as well. So we added multiple tiers. And that's really a key reason why our agency grew and hit those 7 figures and stuff like that.
So when did you come across ClickFunnels?
2016. I think I saw one of Russell's ads. And I think I kept seeing them. And I think 2017, I bought both of the books. I can't remember their names now. The
.com Secrets.
.com Secrets and the other one that was out at the time as well.
Secrets.
That's one. Yeah, so .com Secrets, I didn't really take much away from. Like, I kind of knew all that kind of stuff. But the Expert Secrets was like, I can actually sell my knowledge. Oh, this is how you do it. And that got me closer to the ClickFunnels community. And then I started to get deeper into the world of ClickFunnels that way.
Okay. And when did you start getting a mentor or furthering your knowledge?
But my first mentor we hired in 2017, actually. Someone Akbar Sheikh, and he's now a friend of mine as well. And at that point, I had tons and tons of imposter syndrome because I was like, I could share info, but there's so many other people that do it better than me. What am I going to bring? And he was always kind of talking to me about, everyone attracts their own tribes. And he goes, just give it a chance. And that's where he suggested just post your biggest case study out, just see what happens. He goes, look, at the end of the day, if you post something really big in ClickFunnels, your best case study, or post it in the Facebook group or whatever it is, and no one responds, at least that gives you something to learn from and build on. Because like, I've never heard anyone do results like you have. I guarantee people want to know how you do Facebook ads. So I did write, in fact, I wrote the post. He goes, write it in a Word doc and then send it to me and I'll give you some feedback. And he did. So we structured it better and stuff like that. And it just absolutely exploded. It's like, I think if you look at that post now, there's like 1,000 comments or likes and all that kind of stuff. And it just exploded.
And how did you find Akbar?
Yeah, good question. I don't actually know. I think that was probably through the ClickFunnels community. So I just see, because he used to post, there was other people posting as well. But what resonated with me was he just seems so down to earth. And I think I followed him or connected with him through the ClickFunnels group. And at that time, he was doing this thing where he was doing 30 days of live videos. And I followed every live. And I was like, I felt a connection with him. And I thought, this is someone I think I can work with. And I think it was such a brilliant thing to do. And I'd recommend anyone that wants to start and grow their brand, just like when you do your live videos, you see the authenticity, you see who they are, you get to know and like and trust them. And it does such a great job of drawing people into your world as well, which happened with me and Akbar.
Awesome.
And honestly, I remember I got him on the call and me and Shalina were there and he's like, this is how much it was going to cost to work with him. And we're like, this is a huge investment. Like, we've never done anything like this before. And we ummed and ahed. And at the end of the day, I think, and this actually happened within a circle and a few other things. Shalina's like, is it the right thing to do? Do you want to do it? Just do it. And I'm like, yeah, but logical brain is thinking this. And she's like, just do it. Just do it. This, if you're confident it's going to help grow the business. And obviously it did. And it was a great investment.
You're welcome.
So what do you think's been your biggest hurdle on your journey so far?
Avoiding shiny objects. And the thing is that I don't think you ever get 100% control of it if that is one of the things that you struggle with. but I think we've become better. Now we have a business mentor that works with us. I think he's worked with us since 2020, and he's become a good friend, but he's there to guide and challenge us. And I think without that, the last 2 years, we would have struggled a lot more. So effectively, we speak to him, both of us, every week, and we check in. Like, he'll ask, what are results like? What's the profit like? How's the team? How's everything functioning? And he'll keep us on track. So if I have an idea to do this thing, he's like, but what do you need to sacrifice to make that happen? Are you making the right decision? So that kind of check-in makes a huge difference. And I think that has helped as well.
All right. Okay. So has there ever been a time when you first set out, like on your own entrepreneurial journey, you thought, this is too difficult, I'm just going to go back and get a job?
What do you say?
I think at the very early stages when we were getting really bad clients, then we were getting
maybe in the agency,
tired. We were like, do you know what? But then we thought we'd sacrifice so much, and we could see that people were out there that were actually doing okay. So we kind of identified we were doing something wrong. And I always remember, like, I think at that point I was listening to Cat Howell YouTube, and I was like, Depesh, why are we not charging people what we're worth? And it's like, what do you mean? He goes, and that was when the imposter syndrome kind of came to head. And I was like, no, we need to rethink this. And that's what we started to do. And I think he kind of tested the waters, and it kind of just almost remedied itself. But yeah, we did get to that point where, like, I don't know if this is sustainable.
And to be honest, like, we hired people into the agency that were doing the selling process better than we were, and that helped, because I'm always of the kind of mindset of, I don't want to charge too much because I want the client to be able to work with us, stay longer and stuff like that. When in reality, I'm doing them a disservice, because if I'm not charging enough, I'm not paying my team enough, I'm not making enough, I can't grow my business. We had to learn that the harder way. So I think that's one of the key things about being in client services, is making sure you've got enough margin, that you're building a comfortable life, that you're paying yourself. Like, to be honest, in the first 12 months, there were many times we didn't pay ourselves, or didn't pay ourselves enough. And we're like, yeah, it'll soon work out, And it was the wrong idea. It was the wrong approach. We should have started charging our worth.
We did that for about a year.
Absolutely. And the thing is, one of our first big clients, we were managing £300,000 of budget a month, and we were charging £3,000 a month for that privilege. The thing is, if you look at some agency models, they'll charge 10% of ad spend. So we could have been charging 10K, 20K, 30K, which eventually we got down to doing, but we weren't in that mindset. And we were like, is even 3,000 too much? We want to make sure, because I was in the mindset of, how many hours do I put in? What's my hourly rate? And then I'm going to charge that. But I wasn't thinking, what's the value I'm giving them? How much profit are they making? They were making huge profits. We were spending 300K a month profitably every single month. They were super happy. I'm sure they even thought, how the hell how are they charging 3K for this? They didn't care.
No. So how big's your team now?
9 people at the moment, or maybe 9 or 10. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And how did you make the move? Because I know you're in Canada now. How did you make the move from the UK over to Canada?
Stressfully. How long do you have? It took 5 years, but the long and short is, we tried many different routes, and we were really determined to make this move. But in the end, it was kind of getting a work permit, permanent residency, and being able to move the family over.
All right. Okay. And what was the driving force for leaving the UK?
It was your dream. You can do this one.
I just think that the UK has changed demographically, and it wasn't the place that I remember growing up in. And as I had the children, I just kept feeling like, I don't want my children to play out in the streets anymore. And something I did, and Depesh did that as well. My son would go to the store and stuff. Then my son would go to the store and stuff, and I'd be like, oh. And then he'd go, I know you sent Granddad there. I saw his number plate. And I was like, oh no, this is bad. And then I was kind of like looking at the schooling, and there's some bullying going on. And there were lots of things that I could see were beginning to change. And although I was all right with it, I just didn't want the next 10, 15 years to be worrying about the kids. Now, the reason I chose Canada specifically was because I actually have some family here.
All right. Okay.
I had frequented it a lot as a child. And when I got married, I also brought Depesh over a few times to meet my family and stuff. So we kind of knew it. It wasn't that foreign.
Right.
I could see what was there for the children to offer. And I kind of sold it to Depesh. So I think that was the main reason we came.
And I absolutely love it here now. Like I have no care for London, for the UK. I don't mind visiting now and again, but I don't miss it at all. The part of Canada we're in is the west side. On the one hand, we could drive 45 minutes and be in the mountains and the lakes and the forests. On the other side, 20 minutes, you're in the center of the city. And it's just such an amazing experience that growing up in London and in the kind of condensed and populated areas and stuff like that, here, the sky gets so dark, you can see tons of stars, like such a small thing like that. I grew up missing all that. Now I can share those kind of memories with my kids. And even last night, I came home from soccer training with my daughter, and we just stood out there for 5 minutes because it was just an amazing view.
And I'll just want to say something. So although the children found it difficult to let go and come here, I remember my son went to school and he's like, Mum, they're really weird here in Canada. I said, what do you mean? He goes, everyone's just so nice. And he goes, I think if I punch somebody in the face at school, they'd be like, oh, did you hurt your hand? I'm so sorry. And it was such a change for them too. And I remember my little boy, he's not that little now, but he was about 7 and he couldn't get back in the house and he was panicking, and I live in a cul-de-sac. And somebody came in and rang the bell and he goes, oh, Mum, this place is amazing. Some old white guys just come over and help me in the house. Something that, they hadn't actually seen, that people aren't always, have to always be on your guard. And it's like, my son's like, that lady's just left her handbag open. She's just abandoned her bag. And it was like, it's okay. Like, this is actually how life can be. So for them, it was quite weird.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like when we came to Canada, I think 2018, we came for a holiday and we rented a place. And I was in a cafe and I was on my laptop and stuff, and I needed to use the washroom, as they call it here. And I said to the owner, look, I'm just going to pack everything up and just use the washroom. She goes, just leave it there. Honestly, it's fine. I'm thinking, this is my laptop and everything and stuff like that. She goes, honestly, look, nothing will happen, and nothing did. But obviously coming from London, it's like, you'd never do that.
Oh, I live in the countryside, so we're like that anyway.
Yeah, and that's it. It's a different experience for sure. And by the way, like moving to Canada, we did discuss it 10, 15 years prior. But at that point, I had a job and I was like, how do you get a job here and have the right types of jobs? But with the kind of work from home, and all our team are based around the world, and we grew our team to 20, 25 people. And even then, we could literally just lift the business and move to another country, which we did, which was so cool as well.
That's the beauty of an online business, isn't it?
Totally.
So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
If you're going to be an animal for 24 hours, what would you be and why?
I'll let you answer because you love wildlife.
Oh, great. Why do I have to be an animal? Okay, if I had to be an animal, I would be a little bird. Do I have to name the bird? I have a whole encyclopedia of them.
Yeah, she's a twitcher.
I would like to be a bird, because what would happen is I could actually observe everything going on, and I'd get the ability to travel vast distances and be safe. I wouldn't have to keep looking over my shoulder unless there was a big hawk. So maybe I should be the hawk.
Oh, I was going to say mine would be a bird, but it would not be one at the lower end of the
Not
food
a little
chain.
bird, a big bird.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of being able to fly.
Excuse me, this is my turn. I'm the animal.
Your
You
30
said go
seconds is up.
first. No, I'd choose that because I'd be able to see more. I would less likely to be preyed upon. And yeah, I just see everything. Right, you can go now.
I'd love to fly just for 24 hours. Like, I'd love to do skydiving and things like that. I haven't had a chance, paragliding, whatever. But yeah, just being able to fly, I think it'd be such an amazing experience.
What kind of animal is that? I think he's more of an emu.
Eagle.
Emus don't fly.
Emu. Okay, also, thank you so much for chatting to me today. If
Absolutely,
anybody
pleasure.
wants to find out more about either S-commerce or BPM method, where do they need to go?
I guess smcommerce.com, bpmmethod.com, and then you'll get our social profiles from there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thanks, Polly.
Take care. Bye, Polly.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the podcast on your podcast software. It really helps us rank the podcast and get more listeners. And if you're over on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell. Every Friday, 8 a.m. GMT, we release a brand new episode. And until then, have a good one.